Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm Dr. Yoshiyahu Moreh here at the Ark. We are in a study in the book of Nehemiah. Situation. Nehemiah's heard the word that the walls of the city have been torn down, and I mentioned that we have to do something. We have to do something because we are in a worse situation than the children of Israel, which is our ancestors when they came out of Babylon. They came out of Babylon with some advantages that we didn't have. First of all, they knew about the wall. They also, and we didn't know about our wall. They knew about, they knew who they were. And Zion, when we woke up, or I should say, when we came out of captivity, we didn't know who we were. They knew where they were from. We did not know where we were from. They gave us the biggest continent and told us, figure it out. They said we were Gentiles, but in the time of Nehemiah, they knew they were Yehudim. I don't want to keep going that way, but I think you guys understand that. No one left Babylon not knowing what their last name was. None of us left Babylon. None of our ancestors left Babylon, didn't know who their grandmother, grandfather was, great-grandfather, great-great-great-great-great. All of us, most of us woke up out of captivity. It's difficult for us to even trace any part of our lineage, more than about 3 back. We know maybe our dad, and then the dad's father, and then after that, it gets blurry for us. Our father's father, great-great-grandfather, and then great-great-great. No, but they had an advantage. They knew that they were Israel. They knew their lineage. They knew their household. They knew their last name, and they also knew their language. When they came out of captivity, they were still speaking Hebrew. Our ancestors were talking in our native tongue, one toward another. When we came out of captivity, when we woke up after the captivity, we didn't know Hebrew. We didn't even know that we were Hebrews, let alone we know anything about the Hebrew language or any of its variations. They had an advantage over us. They knew about the covenant. When we woke up to the truth, we were told that we were the Gentiles, that we were the savages, that we were the heathens, and we should be grateful to white European Caesar Borgia images for pulling us into their religion, which, by the way, is so far against the Bible and Torah, unbelievable. We didn't know that. So we had an allegiance to our captors. We had a Stockholm syndrome, where even though we knew our oppressors and our enemies and the slave masters, we knew they were European, yet we put European images all over our buildings, all over our homes, all in our books, thinking that they were the chosen people of Yah and the Supreme. Why? Because we didn't know. Deuteronomy 28 said we were destroyed. And that means ultimately or utterly destroyed, not meaning we disappeared. It just means all the things that make a nation was removed from us. So therefore, we found ourselves in a great disadvantage this time over that time. During the time of Nehemiah, we were still patriarchal, which simply means that the men were responsible and the men were in charge of everything. The men were in charge of the temple. The men were in charge of the city. The men were in charge of their home. I'm talking about they were in the place of authority. And the men were in charge of the children and in charge of their wives. They were the authority in the community, the men, we were a patriarchal community. But coming out of captivity, here, it's flipped. So Isaiah was right when he talked about the men no longer in leadership and the women leading, and I'll get to that later, leading and being in authority in every level, and the children being a terror. It's all written in the script to tell us what our condition would be post-captivity. So Nehemiah has some advantages. And yet, with all of his advantages, watch this, he still, along with his brother Hananiah and those brethren, they still said, with all those advantages, we got to do something. We got to build this wall. We need our wall. We got to have this wall. Why? If not, it's over for the house of Israel. So it led them, obviously, into prayer and fasting. And I see, once again, it seemed like as soon as I turn the video on, the time is running out. But there's reasons for these short videos, by the way. One is, for some reason, YouTube is having a problem uploading videos that go over like 10, 11 minutes. So I'm trying to keep these short. I'll just do them in sections. Just to let you know. They had the advantage, and yet they still said, we gotta do it. And we, with all the disadvantages, sometimes it seems like we have become apathetic toward the wall, as though we can live and survive without it. Now, Nehemiah and the men said, we got to build it. But today, as a nation, we're so destroyed that some people are actually saying, what difference does it make? And of course, it makes all the difference in the world to the awakening remnant who are trying to live according to the laws, statutes, and the commandments of the Most High in order to be obedient to the covenant, and of course to be able to walk in the light as He is in the light, to be able to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth for the salvation of those that Yah's calling, including one verse says, the saving of your own soul and the saving of your house. So the remnant, just because we woke up to truth of who we are and whose we are, that does not automatically give us a pass into the kingdom. Waking up is a first step, but getting into the kingdom, it's going to take more than just saying, I'm an Israelite. All these men knew they were Israelites, and they still said we need the wall. So this will be a good time for me to draw a spiritual parallel. And here it is, a spiritual parallel. The word parallel simply means something that runs, side by side with something. So if this is running this way, right, and this is running this way, parallel mean they got to run together like this. So let's draw a parallel. Let us see a parallel. There is a parallel between the wall, of course, that surrounds the city of Jerusalem, and the Torah that surrounds us and the community or the remnant. We need the wall around the remnant, and the wall that must be established around the remnant is the word. So the wall around the children of Yah is the word of Yah. All right? I'm going to stop right here. Let that sink in all over the world. We're going to come right back into the next video. And we're going to talk about Nehemiah's response. We're going to look at that in the next video. And at the same time, hopefully look at our response to having the wall of the word of Yah, which is obviously the Torah, which most people say the Bible. I'm talking about the whole Bible. We need to see the parallel of having the Bible as the wall around the remnant, if we're going to be able to survive and enter into the kingdom. One love, Zion. Support the channel. Hit the like button and share. And of course, we're going to continue this in our next video. One love.